when government says, hey, give us your Christmas wish list of things to remove, I would have thought that we would have had thousands and thousands of comments from truck drivers.
So we've talked a few times on the show in recent weeks about this comment period opened up by the USDOT regarding regulations, more specifically, their big push to cut regulations that do not impact safety. That comment period ended yesterday on Monday, May 5th, and the response, I have to say, Mark, wasn't quite as robust as I expected it might be.
Yeah, I mean, it had nearly 900 comments, but when you consider, I've been working at Landline for about 10 years now, and almost every time I've talked to truck drivers, they will complain about the number of regulations that are on the books and how many of them that they believe do little to improve safety, and some of the time actually do the opposite and hinder safety. So when government says, hey, give us your Christmas wish list of things to remove, I would have thought that we would have had thousands and thousands of comments from truck drivers. Now, this was only a 30-day comment period, and, truck drivers are busy out there, and a lot of times, a lot of the comment periods that are out there might just have a few dozen comments. So I'm not trying to act like 900 isn't a significant number. Sure. It certainly is. But yeah, based off of that, I would have thought that more truck drivers would have spoken up and voiced their opinion on it. But with that said, after this period is done, DOT certainly has lots of ideas of things that they could either repeal or modify or amend. There's a lot of options out there that truck drivers have given them.
Yeah, and we've talked about some of the comments. I think maybe midway through the comment period, you and I spoke about some of the comments that were coming in and some of the themes that were emerging, and certainly we heard quite a few things that were repeated by different people. Yeah. As you go through the comments here, again, about 900 of them or so, what were some of the common themes that kind of stuck out to you?
Well, I would say, the big ones were, and even though this is not a regulation yet, speed limiters has been a proposal that has been out there, and it is still out there right now. Yep. As a proposal. It hasn't been formally withdrawn, and lots and lots of truck drivers, and I know we'll go into a little more, including OIDA, really, spoken out about this idea of making sure that the Trump administration does formally withdraw this rulemaking and this proposal, citing dangerous speed differentials. And this is really, even though this was not a regulation that's already on the books, it is a perfect example of where a lot of truck drivers believe that there are regulations on the books that have this idea that it's going to improve safety, and they actually believe that it would do the opposite because of the speed differentials, taking the control and power away from the truck driver, the professional driver, and making them not have the ability to get away from a potential crash, a dangerous situation, those type of things. So that it was really a perfect example. So that was a major one. Another two that I'll mention is more flexibility within the hours of service regulations. That definitely was a theme. And then overall, kind of connected to hours of service regulations, so many truck drivers want an end to the electronic logging device mandate, which they believe has actually, again, no proven safety benefits. A lot of the numbers have actually gone in reverse since those were mandated in late 2017. And so that's something that a lot of truck drivers asked to be repealed.
You mentioned OIDA's comments, and it came in the form of a 17-page document. Just tells you how many things things the association has on their mind in terms of regulations that may not
Sure.
be needed. You touched on a few of the things actually that OIDA mentioned in their comments, but kind of run us through, I think, maybe the main themes there with OIDA's take on this.
Yeah. So again, speed limiters
Yep.
is a big one, as I mentioned. I won't go too much deeper into that because we've kind of talked about it, and I do think the Trump administration is at some point going to withdraw or at least put that proposal on the back burner.
Sure. Yep.
Hours of service, though, I will mention a little bit more. They give some specific examples. If you remember, several years ago, OIDA petitioned the agency under the previous administration, under the Trump administration the first time, to make some changes to the hours of service. That was done. OIDA has now asked for additional times to make flexibility, including giving truck drivers the ability to pause the clock and have a kind of a split period of time, and then also to expand the sleeper berth options to have a 6-4 and a 5-5 split, basically saying that if you give truck drivers the ability to control themselves and know their own body and safety, that some drivers out there aren't able to sleep 8 hours or 10 hours straight. So giving them the ability to do a 5 and 5 may be more beneficial to them. And really the goal should be not just these set amount of hours. The goal should be, if a driver is tired, they shouldn't have to drive, and if they, are alert, they should. And I think giving them the flexibility to make those choices and decisions and be responsible, because a lot of times what the hours of service actually does is, while we think about it as making you not able to drive during these hours, but what it also ends up doing, it closes this window and forces drivers to only drive during this time, and they kind of are under that demand, and that can make for some dangerous situations.
And FMCSA, we should mention, during the first Trump administration in September of 2020, did propose a split duty period pilot program to evaluate kind of these ideas here to see if they would actually help with flexibility and still keep people safe out there. So I'll be curious to see if that actually pops up here. Maybe in the months to come, we'll see if any traction gains.
I think there's a possibility that we will see some proposal for expanded flexibility there.
And USDOT will look at all of these comments that came in. They'll read through all of them. They'll figure out what they want to do next. And we'll, of course, talk to you again when we hear more about what that will look like. Mark Schremmer of Lane Line Magazine, everybody. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.